Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Rankin Mon Valley Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Patricia Bluette and I am the section's corresponding secretary. And we also have with us Alice Paylor Days, who is a member of our section's political party. We thank all of you who have participated in our previous programs. And we hope you will join us again today with your questions by calling 412 853 8206. That number will be running at the bottom of the screen. Our guest today is Reverend Eileen Smith, and she is the Executive Director for the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace. This program today satisfies one of the National Council of Negro Women's national programs to encourage economic empowerment. It also is the mission of the National Council of Negro Women is to lead, advocate for, and empower women of African descent, their families, and communities. Today's program will also support the National Council of Negro Women's Good Health Wins, which stands for the Women's Immunization Network, which is our commitment to build an army of good health champions who understand the importance of immunization across the lifespan. Now, before we introduce our guests, we'd like to have her bio read. Alice, would you please read her Dr. Smith's bio for us? Okay.
Reverend
Here's Alice.
Eileen O. Smith is a registered nurse, retired from the Pennsylvania Department of Health, Southwest District, as a violence and injury prevention consultant. Reverend Smith serves on many boards and committees, including the Birmingham Foundation Board of Directors. She is the executive director of the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace, founded by the Birmingham Foundation in 2505. Reverend Smith continues her work in violence prevention from a public health standpoint and oversees many initiatives, including South Pittsburgh Peacemakers, a street outreach intervention focusing on meditation and alternatives to violence. Reverend Smith is also the founder and executive director of the Minority Emergency Preparedness Task Force, a coalition targeting the disparate population for survival in major disasters and emergency situations. Reverend Eileen O. Smith is the pastor of the Mount Zion Baptist Church in West Newton, PA. Welcome. Reverend Smith.
And thank you for being on our program today. Reverend Smith, you were recently awarded the Heroin and Violence Prevention Award by the Cities United. Congratulations. And
Well,
please
thank you
tell
so
us
much.
what the award was all about.
Well, I was really surprised to receive that award at this year's Cities United National Conference, which was held in Atlanta, Georgia. And during the actual gala event where they do give out awards, my name was called. And I was actually being distracted at the time. And I thought I heard it. And my team was like, Reverend Smith, you got to get up there. They called Jordan. I was like, for what? So I went up, and to my surprise, they gave me this heroine award for the work. Um, and I basically honor my whole entire team for this award for the violence prevention work that we do in South Pittsburgh. And we've been at it for a long, long time. Since 2005, and I really became the executive director after being the oversight person in 2018. So we've struggled along, we've worked hard, we've accomplished much, and so they saw fit to present that award to me as the executive director. But I also present it to my entire team.
Well,
Oh,
congratulations again.
Mhm.
well, Reverend Smith, what inspired you? You started off being a registered nurse. What inspired you to become a registered nurse? And secondly, what inspired you to pursue a career in public health?
Well, basically, I've been a nurse since 1969, and that's the
Oh,
only job that I've ever had. And
really?
my mother really inspired me to be a nurse because she required us to do service learning, service work as children and teenagers growing up in the little town of Smithton, where I'm from. So from that, I became a candy striper at the local Westmoreland Hospital in Greensburg. From there, I went to LPN school at St. Francis Hospital in Pittsburgh. And from there, went on to become an RN, graduated from community college, went on to get a bachelor's from Geneva College. And that's all that I've ever known. And my very first job as an RN was a critical care nurse, cardiovascular intensive care, trauma, ER, all those types of things. Worked doing that for about 10 years. Then St. Francis Medical Center closed, and I went on to be a public health nurse for the Pennsylvania Department of Health in my role as violence and injury prevention nurse consultant. And I retired in 2014. And I'm still a registered nurse. I've just received my RN license renewal, and I do operate as a registered nurse in the field of public health for the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Great. Okay. I have a question. It's a two-parter.
Mhm.
What areas are considered South Pittsburgh? And can you tell us about how the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace came about?
Well, all of the zip codes of South Pittsburgh 15210, 15203, and about 9 neighborhoods comprise the Hilltop, Allentown, Knoxville, Beltsuver, Arlington Heights, Mount Oliver Borough, Mount Washington. Those are the neighborhoods that we service. And we target those areas because we are under the auspices of the Birmingham Foundation, who gave us our first grant. So we are sort of embedded in that community in order to make an impact. So we basically service that area.
Hmm.
And I think there was another part to your question. What was that again?
Um,
Uh,
how did it come about? How did the South
How
Pittsburgh
did it come
Coalition
about?
for Peace come
Absolutely.
about?
Well, when I was still working for the Department of Health, I
Bless
was
you.
asked to join the board of the Birmingham Foundation. I'm still a member of that board. And while on that board, there was a shooting at Carrick High School, where we are embedded in that school as well and servicing them. A young man was shot and killed in the parking lot of Carrick. And so, being one of the co founders, we started the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace and consider ourselves the hub of South Pittsburgh for violence prevention, intervention, uh, public awareness, and education.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes.
okay. Well, what is the approach and some of the strategies used by SPCP for violence prevention? What are some of the tactics that you use?
Well, our main initiative is the South Pittsburgh Peacemakers, and they are a group of culturally trained, very well trained group of men and women. And we are officially of the Cure Violence Global Model. And that is a public health model that deals with the highest risk individuals, and we target the highest risk individuals in order to reduce the major risk factors for violence, which is lack of housing, which is poverty, which is victimization, drug addiction, poor health access, transportation, food, clothing, all of those things that lead to desperation and violence, but especially trauma. A lot of the participants that we target have been introduced to some type of trauma in their lives, which then leads them down the road to commit further violence and trauma. And they are, the team is the South Pittsburgh Peacemakers, and they consist of 4 violence interrupters, 2 outreach workers, a supervisor, a program manager, and our chaplain. We do have a chaplain as well that's part of the Peacemakers. Other
Do
things
you
we
have
do.
do you
Pardon?
have any youth involved?
Oh, yes. We don't have any youth on the team because it's too dangerous.
Right.
But we mentor youth. We target youth
Okay.
because basically, the perpetrators and victims of violence we're finding is anywhere from 14 up to about 24 years of age. So that's the population that we deal with. We target. We do mediations, interventions. We work in Carrick High School, where this all began, and we are very much embedded in Carrick High School, and we have a number of other programs as well.
And you have the support of the parents, or any parents involved?
We always deal with parents. We do
Parents.
mediation with the parents of the troubled children. So we definitely have to have the parents' involvement. We wish we could be more involved with them as well. But it takes a village, it has been said. And so
Right.
we call on the entire village of South
Sure.
Pittsburgh, including businesses, churches, organizations. And our organization is made up of about 90 organizations, providers, and residents.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, you already said it before, but can you mention again what are the specific neighborhood and the population that South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace reaches out to?
Well, we target at-risk populations in about 10 different neighborhoods of South Pittsburgh. And unfortunately, we we meet up with and form relationships with those who are at risk, and they unfortunately are the African American community. And as you probably know, homicide, gun violence is the leading cause of death in African American men
Hmm.
up until about the age of 24 years. So that's the population we work with because we're affected by the gun violence, and the perpetrators are also African American.
So
But we
those are
target all races, all races.
Hmm.
okay.
Mhm.
So who benefits the most from the SPC program?
Everybody that we come into
Everybody.
contact with. But our target population are the ones who benefit the most. We benefit also
So
because
how well received are you in the community?
we're very well received.
Where
Very
you
well received. Everyone knows of the South Pittsburgh Peacemakers and the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace and the programs that we do to benefit South Pittsburgh. And we are very well known there. And our peacemakers who are on the streets, people, they know them because their job is forming relationships. If you don't form a relationship with the target population, you really cannot make an impact with them. But they are trusted, and they're credible messengers
So
to
have
give
you
them alternative ways to violence.
So have
Mm.
you seen, has the organization seen a reduce in the violence since it's been in
Oh,
operation?
absolutely. I mean, it's hard to measure violence reduction, but we go by the numbers, we go by the data. And
Hmm.
Pure Violence is an evidence based program. Becoming a Man is an evidence based program. Ready Chicago program is an evidence based program. But the data shows that over the last, from 21 to 23, homicides by gun violence have reduced by four, such as in
Okay.
2022. There were 12 homicides, and to date, there have been 8 homicides. So the numbers are coming down. The non-fatal shooting incidents in 2023, there were 18, and in 2022, there were 25. So I believe that we are making a strong impact.
Mhm.
We have, street outreach workers and violence intervention specialists who are on the ground,
Mhm.
basically day and night,
Okay.
and we need more. Actually, we
Mm.
wish there would be more because we would be making even a greater impact in what we do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we all wish that all crime would stop, but what type of crime does SPCP hope to mitigate?
We hope to mitigate. Our purpose is to mitigate gun violence. And
Okay.
that's basically the major type of violence, gun violence. So
Mhm.
if we can stomp that out, then we can stomp out a lot of other types of
Well,
violence. But gun
mhm.
violence is what's prevalent today, and
Mhm.
Okay.
basically among the African American community
Right.
Mhm.
and our youth.
And what are some of the most vulnerable populations when it comes to community violence?
Again, the African American population
What age? What age
disparately
range?
affected.
Is there an age range?
Age range 14 to about 24 years old and up. But that's the age range that we see, that the
Hmm.
data sees, that are
Okay.
most affected by gun violence and
Okay.
even non-fatal shooting.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, a web based description of the organization says that SPCP offers aggressive community outreach. How does this occur and what does the outreach include?
Our aggressive outreach is reaching out to the community through awareness programs, violence prevention programs that we have, that I have mentioned, and mostly through our South Pittsburgh peacemakers, street violence interrupters, and our outreach workers. And as I said, they form relationships with the highest risk individuals and give them an alternative way to violence. And that's just one aspect of what we do. We also have been awarded from the county the Community Violence Reduction Grant initiative that um, funds our peacemakers, funds a program called Becoming a Man
Mhm.
for the schools, and funds the Ready Chicago model, which we have called ACTS, Achieving Change Through is transitional employment services. It's called Acts, based on the Bible, the book of Acts, where
Mhm.
change came to the new birth.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there also a component for the female members of the community,
I believe you said you
the
broke up for a
girls?
minute, but is there a component for the female
Right.
Mhm.
members of the community?
Yes.
We do
Uh,
have female outreach workers. We have
okay.
females that work within our ACTS program, and we don't discriminate. Definitely not with me at the helm, and we do recruit females to work in these tough jobs, and we have some tough females that can do the job, get it done. So yes, definitely.
And are some of the
Okay.
participants that you speak of, are they from the community and live within the community?
Well, as far as the participants, these are the people that we service, and yes, they live in South Pittsburgh. But as far as the people that we employ, most
Yeah.
of them are from South Pittsburgh, but some of them are not, but they know the area, which is the requirement in order for them to be effective. They must know the area. And they are very thoroughly vetted
Mhm.
by a couple of panels under this grant program. And yeah, and so we want to make sure we're getting the right people because these are tough jobs,
Right.
and
Right.
Mm.
you have to have the ability to endure. And in order to endure, you must love what you do. These jobs are a calling. My job, being the executive director, is definitely a calling, or else I probably would be home, retired, or sitting on a beach somewhere. But I get tired. I get tired of the violence. I get tired of people being shot and killed.
Yeah.
I've buried too many people from violence. Assisted with too many funerals, sent too many flowers, and sent too
Mhm.
many letters of condolence. And so our mission is to stomp it out,
Right.
basically.
So, what are some of the educational opportunities that the community members can receive from SPCP?
Well, we do workshops of various types. We do self-care workshops for the people who are in the streets, who are the first responders to violence, mental health workers, even the police officers and nurses and doctors who see these patients coming in with gunshot wounds and all that. We do several self-care workshops, fire department, EMS, but basically are violence interrupters and outreach workers. We also have done, we do a series on suicide awareness and prevention and
Mhm.
target gun violence and tied into that. Um, we do a series with Dr. Toya Jones of the University of Pittsburgh on the actual etiology, exploring the brain and in regard to trauma and its effects of the community.
Mhm.
Mm.
So we do a number of educational um, projects that are geared even to the providers that come to learn all that they can learn.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you describe your experience working with diverse populations and addressing health disparities in addition to
Mhm.
crime and economic disparities?
Sure, and we work with diverse populations in what we do with the South Pittsburgh Coalition for Peace. Um, every 2 weeks, I look at the data of the reports that are turned in by my team, and most of them are 99% are African Americans, some Latinos, rarely Caucasians,
Mm.
and other races. So that just tells you about the disparity, and violence is a public health problem, disparately affecting the African American population. Regarding public health in actual health, if you would, I am the founder and director of the Minority Emergency Preparedness Task Force, which deals with, which came out of actually came about. I founded it after Hurricane Katrina destroyed so many Black lives.
Mhm.
And this could have been prevented had they been prepared for major disasters and known how to shelter in place, known how to take care of themselves until they were rescued, okay, because they were definitely overlooked. The majority of the people who died were in harm's way, but they lived higher up in projects where nobody was in a hurry to go get them. And
Mhm.
most of them were found
Mm.
deceased. So I
Okay.
founded this organization in order to teach, um, and I call them low income communities. I hate the word projects, okay? But and so we go there and we teach them how to take care of themselves. We provide things like emergency kits in order for them to shelter in place for 72 hours, which is the norm
Okay.
until they are rescued in the case of a major disaster.
Mhm.
We also have clinics, flu clinics, and COVID vaccines. We were very instrumental when the COVID initially broke out, and we were called into action to be a part of the vaccine rollout.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
Where
so,
you just mentioned the minority emergency preparedness task force. So where do all of these classes or these where do they take place at?
In the African community, in low income housing communities, and we partner with uh, the housing authority of the city of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
and that's where we
oh,
go. We go to them. We teach
okay.
them. We have CERT teams up at Arlington Heights, which means Community Emergency Response Teams, and we train them how to take care of their own community in the event of a major disaster. And they've been called out many times, and they're trained in first aid, CPR, and bleeding, and all of those types of things.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's interesting. Well, what is the South Pittsburgh Peacemakers and the Group Violence Intervention Initiative, or that's and how do you get involved with those two
Well,
organizations?
we basically are partners of group violence intervention, and that
Oh, okay.
Reverend Cornell Jones heads that up, and we've been partnering with them for years because it's necessary. They basically have all the other neighborhoods and somewhat in South Pittsburgh as well, but it's important to collaborate
Hmm.
with them and with the city of Pittsburgh as well, because we are a part of the city of Pittsburgh, and so
Hmm.
we really have started a movement to better collaborate with them as well as the entire county. The county Department of Human Services basically is our major funder.
So, how
Okay.
well received are you in the community with the leaders of the community,
Very well received.
the
In fact,
politicians, the
yeah,
police?
we had a meeting yesterday with Chief of Staff Jake Weekly from the mayor's office, and
Hmm.
David Jones, Assistant Public Safety Director, and
Hmm.
we discussed Mayor Gainey's plan for zero homicides and how we can better partner together to make this happen. And I was very excited about that because this is what we need. And and we as African Americans tend to always do our own thing and have our own space and all of that sort of thing. But when it comes down to this violence so disproportionately of affecting our people, we must come together. We must work
Mm-hmm.
together. We must work with all races in order to dispel this type of violence that's killing our young people.
Okay.
And how receptive are the parents in the community to
Oh, the
your?
parents in our community are very receptive to us. And as I said, we get together with them. If there is a troubled child somewhere, we're going to seek out that parent and we're going to talk to them and find out how we can help them. Because, the greatest part of our organization, basically, one of the important jobs is our outreach workers, where we find resources for the highest risk individuals, whether it's counseling, whether it's addiction, whether it's clothing, food, shelter. We help pay rent so they're not evicted. If they need bus passes, we provide them with bus passes as well.
Oh, okay.
Whatever it
Okay.
takes to reduce this violence, we're going to do it. Some of our peacemakers have come out of their own pockets. With kids on the street who don't have food, who are out there selling bottles of water in order to get money. We help them. We buy cases of water for them. It's better than them being out there robbing a store in order
Hmm.
to eat
Mm-hmm.
or pulling a gun on someone, to rob them. So this is the kind of things that we do out there. Boots on the ground all the way.
And I
Hmm.
see you have all the right people in place, but what do you do to reach that child, to pull him in, to get him to be part of what you're um, advertising and what you're basically working on?
What does it take to pull them in? The
Yes,
parents, the
the parents.
schools that we work with, seeing them
Okay.
out on the street, and they know our people out there, and we reach out to them. We call on the churches such as Lighthouse, where Apostle Trent is the pastor, and he's on our steering committee, and he's one of the major churches in the South community that gets involved in the community and with us. And we work with him. We funerals and all that sort of things, where a lot of the victims do not have means to have a funeral, and he does it pro bono. So we get involved in every aspect of violence prevention.
And how long has the organization been in effect? How long have you guys been working in that area?
The organization came into existence in 2005.
So have you seen a large reduction in the crime rate?
Well, I would say there would be more crimes if we weren't out there. There would be more gun violence. There would be more homicides. But as I said, the homicides decreased from 10 in 21 and 12 in 2022, 8 in 2023 so far. So I think that is showing that something is working out there, and we would like to take credit for some of that. You know, there's other groups out there. I'm sure we can't take credit for all of that, but we have a plan, and we are implementing that plan for violence reduction.
And do you all help?
Go ahead, Alice.
No, do you all help the students, the young people, further their education or get into trade programs?
We refer. We make referrals. Up until this year, we had 10 years of Dare to Dream, and that was where we gave we showcased the talents of young people, and we gave them scholarships, small scholarships. But this year, we are partnering with the Shine Awards, and I'm sure you've heard of the Shine Awards, produced by Orlana and Darnell Drury. And they give, we're going to be giving our scholarships through their initiative in 2024. And because we feel we need to collaborate together, we can do more in a collaboration. And there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. And we feel that they do a great job with young people. And so we're going to be partnering with them and supporting them very heavily. But we've had great success with Dare to Dream. But they're national, they're international. So we're going to get on board with them and help them even more.
Now, can you give us an idea of what a strong safety net looks like for the families of the South Pittsburgh?
A strong safety net is what we want, and we believe that we are helping to provide that. A strong safety net is when people can go out on their porch and they're not afraid of being shot while they're out there. A strong safety net is they don't have to worry about their kids being shot for no reason at all, because there's a disagreement or there's a social media fight and they take it to the streets. And we do monitor social media, and that's a strong safety net, providing safe passage in and out of school, which our peacemakers do. When school is out, they're there. They're there monitoring, making sure that there are no fights that break out after school. So that's an example of a strong safety net.
So in your opinion, what are the most pressing public health issues faced in our society today in our youth?
Public violence, gun violence. Unfortunately, I mean, it used to be chronic diseases, but it's now gun violence, the leading cause of death among our youth. And that's very sad, among our African American youth. And basically, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a shooting. People own guns. They leave them around unattended, not locked up with ammunition separately, and the kids find them. A lot of toddlers find the gun. They think it's a toy, blow their heads off, or another child. So it's gun violence in all forms, basically. And that is a public health problem.
Can you explain the importance of cultural competency in the public health practice?
Sure. Well, in all aspects of public health, you have to be culturally competent in order to know how to treat disease, knowing how to treat any chronic disease. And we look at violence as being a disease as well. So you have to know the culture that's causing the disease or the violence. And you come down to that level of cultural competency and not treat everybody the same. Okay,
Mhm.
but know what the risk factors are for every disease, including gun violence.
Okay. Can you describe a time when you had to collaborate with multiple stakeholders to address a public violence issue?
Well, absolutely. And we're doing that right now with all of the stakeholders around the table. But my most memorable time of collaborating with stakeholders and getting the buy-in is when I founded the Minority Emergency Preparedness Task Force, and I wanted to get into the low-income communities, and I had to go to the head of it, if you will, and sell it to the stakeholders who were the agencies of public health who were interested in being a part of the task force. And basically, I wrote a case study for Harvard University. And that case study was an online curriculum for 5 years at Harvard University, Chan School of Public Health. So it was basically based on collaboration of stakeholders and getting the buy-in, as well as starting CERT teams in the low-income housing community. So that's my most memorable time of getting the buy-in from all of the
All
stakeholders.
the stakeholders, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because without the
Um,
stakeholders, there's not much you can do to
That's
succeed.
true.
right,
That's
Got to
true.
get
right,
that buy-in.
Mhm.
right. Now, what about other communities? How can they use your program as a model to start it in their own communities?
Well, I
Is
think
there a
that
buy-in there?
sure there is. Well, the Cure Violence program exists in other communities. Um, um, Mon Valley, Braddock area, um, through a coalition out there. And there are a number of agencies using the model, but officially, basically, the Cure Violence program is in the Allegheny County outside of the city. But the city of Pittsburgh has other programs, such as Mad Dads, okay, that have boots on the ground. You have the REACH program that's under the GDI, City of Pittsburgh. So there are other programs, and we're modeling after each other. I don't
Okay.
think any of us are any better than each other, and we need to stop thinking that way and start working together to end this pandemic
Right.
of gun violence.
Mhm. Yes. So, what role do partnerships and collaborations play in your approach to community interventions?
It's necessary. It's essential. It's important. We can't be over here isolated in South Pittsburgh doing our own thing without the collaboration of other agencies and the city of Pittsburgh, which we are part of the city of Pittsburgh. So, there are people who come into South Pittsburgh, um, commit gun violence, who are not
Mhm.
from the city of Pittsburgh. So we have to know the other outreach workers and violence interrupters in order to find out who they are and how we can then reach out to those families, how we can prevent retaliations, and how we can further how we can mediate these circumstances. So it is important that we collaborate with all of the entities.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Can you please describe your experience with developing and implementing health education programs?
Well, all of my 17 years in the Department of Health as a community health nurse, as a violence and injury prevention nurse consultant. Not only did I work as a injury prevention consultant, I was also a community health nurse working in the clinics in the different counties, um, STD clinics, HIV clinics, all types of clinics where the disparate population could not afford health care, and we provided that for them. So basically, I was quite rounded out because I wanted to continue with my skills. And so I did a lot of public education teaching, and also uh, teaching violence prevention, domestic violence awareness in all of my 11 counties.
Hmm. Well, how do you ensure that the voices of the marginalized communities are heard and considered in public intervention
We
initiatives?
have regular community meetings.
Okay.
We have roundtable discussions, and we tell the community what we're doing, and then we want to hear what the community is doing, and we also take advice as to what they want to get done,
Mm-hmm.
and we act on it. But we assess our community. We find out what the needs are in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and we implement
How to meet
those
those.
needs, such as through our ACTS program, through our Cure Violence program, through our Becoming a Man program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, do you experience youth who have graduated high school, left and went off to college? Do they come back?
And didn't come back?
No, do they come
Mhm.
back to the community?
Well, I think a lot of them do, because a lot of them feel like they can do some good with
Mm-hmm.
what education that they have in order to
Okay.
help the community. A lot of the people that we have vetted for our ACTS program are college graduates from the community,
Oh,
and
that's good.
and we love
Yeah.
to put them to work.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
we have a number
Okay.
of jobs that are available through our ACTS program. And if anyone is interested, they can contact me at the Department of Health. Those jobs are site supervisor, work crew supervisor, and a life coach.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. What
Mhm.
experience do they need?
Well, send their resume, but basically learned experience. Some go from an associate's to a master's level, but the jobs that I have given you are associates to a bachelor's degree. And
Okay.
if they have learned experience, we count that as well.
Oh, okay.
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 How do you handle situations where political factors may influence organizational decision making?
Well, we see that all the time in the gun laws, in the well, we'll say the gun laws that aren't, and
Okay.
we advocate. We have a partner around the table called Ceasefire, Moms Demand Action. Those are all very strong partners of ours that actually work with these legislators in trying to get safe gun laws passed so we can stop this pandemic of gun violence. So they do it for us. We focus on the street violence, they focus on the legislation, and we are all close partners and we know what's going on with each of our agencies.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Now
it,
tell us, how do you manage to be so engaged in community organizations and boards, yet you still remain the pastor of a church? How do you do it?
Well, that's a good question. Sometimes I wonder how I do it myself.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's a calling. It's a calling, and I've done it all my life. I give credit to my mother and my father for raising me among 12 children to be community servants. So it's sort of in our blood, it's in my blood. As a pastor, it's ministry. What I do out here is ministry. I was once head of evangelism at one of the city churches. So this is really is no different. It's outreach. And I guess it's just God that keeps me well. A lot of times I run out of energy and I have to take a break, but my job is 24/7 as the executive director. And I need to really stop getting up and waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and checking emails and responding to them at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And maybe you ladies can tell me how to stop doing that. But I know that I have to. It's called self-care. And I need to be in on all those self-care workshops that we head up. And I really am. But it's a lifestyle, and I enjoy it. I love what I do, but I also recognize that sometimes I have to step back because we all really get emotional from what we see out here in the streets. But even as
Mhm.
a pastor, I get tired. 20 years of pastoring, and but God gives me the strength to do what I do because He said in His Word, in our weakness, He will be our strength. And so I tap into that power strength. I tap into that power strength because I have no other choice. I can't do it by myself. And I have a
Mhm.
strong family support who sometimes wish that I would go sit down, but they understand because they're just like me. So we
Right.
just all keep on going together and pray for one another.
But I'm
Mhm.
sure that your success rate keeps you going too.
Well,
Mhm.
it really does. When we see, the good that we're doing, and I can speak
Right.
for all of my team out there,
Mhm.
we're all in this struggle together, and it is a struggle. It's a movement, and when we see lives being affected, lives being changed,
Changed.
healings and behaviors being changed, and someone being able to eat a meal and not being evicted from their apartment, that is a success story. And we can sit
Mhm.
back and just be proud of that. But um, we give all glory and all credit to God for
Mhm.
that because we are
Mhm.
vessels of honor and we are doing what we are called to do.
Well, we have a caller on the line.
Oh, good.
So, would you like to hear the name? Can you please um, start telling us what your question is? Welcome.
Okay, thank you. My question is, how effective does she think that the men's groups that are in the communities are in preventing violence, and would she like to see more? Because I know certain communities, like I believe Braddock and Rankin area, North Braddock, has a program called Cure. And then Mad Dads, of course,
Yep.
certain communities. And I'd like to know if she can tell us how effective she feels that is, or if they can initiate that in more areas.
Well, thank you, Deneen, for calling in. And that is a very, very good question. I think that these groups are very effective, and we do have a group called Cure Violence, and so does Braddock under the leadership of Lee Davis, and Rich Garland has a group out there in Clareton, and Mad
Mhm.
Dad certainly we have great respect for.
Mhm.
There is Reach in the city of Pittsburgh, and these men and women, because there are women on this team as well, are very effective in reducing violence, and we're very grateful to the county for um, funding our Cure Violence Global program, as well as the other programs that I've mentioned that do cure violence. We're also grateful to the city for a Stop the Violence grant that they gave us to support us in our outreach efforts. So I really believe they are very, extremely effective, but it takes the right person to go out there, and they are hand-picked individuals. It's not something that we put out there, put an ad out there, and they answer the call, they answer the ad. You have to love the people of the community and hate the violence in order to go out there and be effective. So we are
I
already
agree.
implementing those programs, Denise. But thank you for that very excellent
Mhm.
question.
Okay, thank you. And also, if
Mhm.
I am in a community, who would be the direct line of contact if you wanted them to maybe initiate? How do they start it in the community that does not have that program?
Well, I think first of all, you would might want to call the city of Pittsburgh Stop the Violence program. Um, if you're in the city, where do you want to what do you want to talk about this program being started? What area?
Homestead, Still Valley area.
Still Valley already has a cure violence a global program. They already have one. um, you could contact Lee Davis. I don't have his number offhand, or if you
You know
want to,
what? I do have it. I have his number. I got it
okay,
on
contact Lee
save
Davis.
this number.
He's excellent at what he does. Contact Lee. Yep.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. Be safe.
Right, and piggybacking off of what Mr. Ning just said, how do we get the word out so that everybody knows what's going on, so everybody can get on board, so that we can bring a stop to
Mhm.
all of this violence?
Good question.
What do we
How
do?
about this show? How about this show? Okay, that's a way of getting the word out. And
Right.
other shows as well. We get a lot of media coverage. Also, we have a media coordinator that helped to coordinate this show as well. And word of mouth. And you know what? Just by what we do, we're seen out there. Our works speak for us. May the work I've done speak for me.
And speak for
And
me.
that's the best way of getting the word out.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how long has the organization been in effect out there?
Since 2005.
2005.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, we've
So,
done it
Reverend,
without pay, and now we do get compensation through our funders. But
Mhm.
if we didn't, we would do it anyhow.
Okay.
Reverend, we're going to give you the opportunity to make one final statement to the public and let us know how we can be of help.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, lovely ladies, for allowing me to be on this program to speak with you and to speak with the public as well. But I would say to the public, it takes a village, and really, each and every one of you get involved. Get involved with a violence prevention organization. Take a child, a youth under your wing, and teach them the old way, that the old school way, where we used to mentor all of our kids in the community and they did not belong to us. So I just say get involved, volunteer, do whatever you need to do to help us stop this violence pandemic.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Now, before we thank our guests for appearing on our program, we would like to say that the Good Health Wins Women's Immunization Network is our commitment to building an army of good health champions who understand the importance of immunization across a lifespan. Through our networks of trusted messengers and grassroots activities, our goal is to increase vaccination rates, help remove barriers, and increase access to vaccines and good health. Alice?
And Reverend Smith, we would like to thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because it sounds like you're busy 24/7.
That's what I
To,
said. But I want to thank you all for thinking of me and Miss Kathleen Rollins for, I've known her for quite some time, for inviting me on your show. It's an honor to be involved with your organization in this respect. And I certainly want you to contact me, reach out to me so we can see how we can work together.
yeah, because
Yes.
what
Wonderful.
you've described, it's needed in all of our
Yes,
communities.
it is, and we need women like you that are advocates and motivators to help us do what we do. So I say I salute you all in your endeavor.
And I'm sure the organization has been a big encouragement to some of the youth, because
Yes,
some of the youth don't see a way out or think
yes.
there is no way out.
Well, that is
Sounds like
absolutely
your
true.
organization is
Mhm.
opening doors for them and showing them the way out.
Yes, they
Yeah,
show them the way out.
Yeah.
They talk to them and come down to their level. We have to meet them where they are, and
that's
that's
true.
what
Hmm.
that's what our street workers do. They meet them where they are, and I hope that they are listening because I think that they are great and in what they do, and I tell them that all the time. I'm having a self-care retreat for them next week, just to
Oh,
show them how we care about them, and they're going to eat all the food that they like. And it's going to be held at the Center for Victims in their beautiful healing room. And Dr.
okay.
Bruce Raven, a good friend of mine and a psychiatrist who loves what we do, is going to be just sitting and chatting with them, and they're going to be venting, and it's just going to be a great time without me being around. That they can eat all the comfort food that they want and just relax.
Okay. Well, we'd
that
like to
sounds like a good idea.
thank our listening audience for tuning in, and we invite you to join the National Council of Negro Women by calling 412-867-9641 for a membership application. We need your help to educate, advocate, and positively impact families and communities in the Rankin, Mon Valley, and Pittsburgh areas. Remember, our live program airs on the first Friday of every month at 6 o'clock p.m. Please remember to get vaccinated. And everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. And thank you, Reverend, for being a part of our program.
Thank you all, and to our listening audience as well.
Mhm.
God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.